Hello, everyone. Welcome to the chat show where we talk about empathy, innovation, and employment every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. We talk to some of the leaders from the staffing industry, leaders from and innovators from the disability community. And through this conversation, our ultimate goal is to share our ideas and thoughts and what's happening in the world. As we all know, world of work is changing. In today's show, we have our guest Jeannine Parise. She's a serial entrepreneur. She has built companies, multinational staffing companies, as well as she's a founder and a CEO of VMS, the club VMSA. And of course, her mission and vision as an entrepreneur is to promote employment for everyone. Indirectly, her work is really nurturing and serving the industry. In her words, it's a global talent ecosystem through events, consulting, and training, doing some amazing work. And Rangam was fortunate to have some amazing services from Jeannine. So, with that note, Jeannine, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Nish and Hetal.
Thank you. And also, we have another very special guest. Of course, my uh, personal tagline is "Happy Wife, Happy Life." So that's with that. Hetal, welcome to the show. Hetal is my other better half and partner in crime. We co-founded Rangam together in '95. So with that, Hetal, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nish, for this wonderful introduction, and welcome, Jeannie, for joining, and thank you for joining the chat show today. We all have experienced so much during the past few months. Resilience, agility, rapid response, learning and adapting to constant changes has become our new norm. There has been no guidebook or lessons learned from the history, which we could have adopted or utilized to create a path for us as we maneuvered through this journey. Please share with us what was going through your mind or your business during this pandemic, where staying relevant was on top of everyone's mind and innovation just simply went on steroids.
Yes, well, 6 months ago, we got the notice that school was closing, and I have 4 kids under 10. And so I thought, there's no school. I don't think there's going to be too many events, which was a bit concerning because I run an events company called Club VMSA. And so for that week, I was very worried, felt lost, disconnected, not sure what to do. And so after 1 week of really fear, we thought, we have to bring our people together, our community together. And let's just go back to basics and say, okay, we're worried, we're lost, we're scared, and everyone else probably feels exactly the same way. So we empathize with our community, and our community is made up of buyers and suppliers of labor. And so we said, how can we do this the fastest, easiest, most affordable way? And we said, let's just do daily video chats. So much like we're doing here, every single day at 12:30 Eastern, we brought somebody from the global talent ecosystem together to say, how are you coping in this environment? What are you looking for? And it was really interesting because people just kept logging in every single day. And they said to us after weeks and months, and we're still doing it 6 months later, and they say, Jeannine, I felt so lost and disconnected because I couldn't see my customers, I couldn't see my suppliers, and now I can with the daily video chats. So that was really the first step we took to empathize with our community and just bring everyone together in a very safe, fun way.
Wow, that's Incredible, Jeannie. Thank you for sharing that story. You know, I've always admired and seen you for so many years, how you have evolved. You yourself had a staffing company which you had sold. It was a multinational staffing company, which is incredible. What would you say has been the inspiration and over the years, and what would be the key takeaways that you can share with us today and in starting your business and how you evolved over the years with your business?
Well, with this business germinated from my background, not only in staffing, but also sales. For me, I was making connections with my prospects and clients by seeing them. And of course, before COVID, it was about being with them. Any chance I could get to be in the presence of someone I was doing business with, I would do it, because that was the most efficient way to make a connection, to build affinity, and to work together. So now with COVID, it's been very interesting because we can't be together in person. But as you can see from our interaction right now, there are so many tools that we can see each other. So my inspiration really is going back to my sales roots in my staffing firm. Is the best way to move business forward, the best way to innovate is to connect and really listen to the prospect. And so going to the video chats and the conferences that we do online, you can really listen and you hear. And it's funny, the clients from the Fortune companies, talent acquisition, procurement, diversity, they really like having a platform to share their current challenges, what they're doing to solve them, how maybe they are failing at some, what they don't need, what they don't want. And as a provider, you could just sit there. If you're listening purely to learn and grow and not listening to talk or listening to respond, which the online mechanism helps you do, then you're really learning a lot about how you can innovate your offerings to meet the needs of your client. So I think really when it all boils down to is having this face-to-face connection where you can listen and learn, you can maybe empathize with what they're going through. I'll give you an example. We have a club member who's a staffing firm, and one of his clients was saying, well, okay, we're going to need to check everyone's temperature before they come to the office, before they come to the warehouse or wherever they're working. And so my club member said, well, why don't we place people that will check temperatures? So it was like this kind of collaborative discussion, dialogue. And now one of their biggest lines of business is temperature checkers. So, right, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It seems pretty basic, but it's like this real desire to empathize and to put yourself in the shoes of your client can really move your business ahead in a very innovative way.
So, Jeannine, you mentioned, I know you have touched a little bit about, how you've been listening as an entrepreneur. Empathetic listening is the key, and you've been doing this for last 6 months. And during this listening mode or during this journey, how did you focus? I know you mentioned your community together. They were feeling scared. And so how did you kept focus on your mission? And what is the mission? And how you kept this mission preserved during this very challenging time? Please share some of your thoughts and activities.
Well, I'm a working mother, so I don't have a lot of time. So when I can make something super efficient to move it ahead in the fastest, best way possible, that's what I want to do. So my motivation comes from having now to teach 4 children in 4 different grades, having to pivot my events company from in-person events to online events, take care of myself. I run almost daily, watch what I eat, don't stay up too late, all these different things I'm juggling, as many of you out there are. I don't feel like I'm unique in this way, by the way. I know.
No, let me tell you how you are unique. Let me tell you how you're unique. You must be having 5 devices online, four for 4 kids and one for your business. That's how you are very unique.
What do you
So
mean one for my business? I have 4 devices for my business and
there you go. That makes it 8.
2 devices for each kid, right? And I'll tell you why there's 2. This is actually a good takeaway for you parents out there. One is for games and one is for school. Okay, having both in one device, not the best idea that I've learned, because as great as my kids are, and I'm sure they can hear me, they're that little toggle. Oh, I'm going to go from school to Minecraft. It happens a little too quickly, a little too easily. So
that is one of that brings me right into technology. As you've mentioned, technology has been the front and the center during this pandemic, and many folks have had to pivot digital. If you were in a bit in a career path that leveraged technology, and if the job function was digitized, it was great, and you still had a continued I would say employment, but there were many people during the pandemic that couldn't say the same. They lost their jobs, they lost opportunities. Where do you see technology playing a key role, and how have you leveraged technology to pivot into your business? And what were the factors and core elements that are important that you would can say for innovating in today's time?
okay, so I'll start with the middle question. The technology that's helped us is quite simply Zoom. With Zoom, we are able to have an online conference. And I want to say this because I have some competitors out there that are doing online conferences as well. One of the ways I think we separate ourselves is we're using our technology to dialogue. Okay, like we are doing here, right? We're having a dialogue. It's not to lecture or present. Okay, people, when you're sitting behind your screen and you're listening to someone lecture you for 30 minutes, guess what? You're toggling, much like my kids do. Maybe that's where they get it. You're toggling to your email, to your phone that's right here. So we have to make sure that we use Zoom, and I say we, meaning Club BMSA and all of those that work with us. We have to use it to enlighten and to engage and dialogue back and forth, not discuss, which we talk about this in our meetups, but discuss comes from like percussion to break apart. It's like when you're having a discussion, it's like you're waiting for the other person to finish so you can come in with your point. And where dialogue is really understanding each other's point of view and really listening. And so we try to promote that in our events. We have breakout sessions, which Zoom handles beautifully. Literally with a press of a button, I can take 160 people at our event and move them into different rooms. And so now we can have that intimate dialogue between 6 to 10 people. And that's where you can really listen. You've got your video on. You can see what the person's background looks like. You can see my background. You can see one of my kids up there, this side. When my kids up there, you see the name of my company. You can see I have a pillow from France. I don't know. So you learn a lot, I think, if you're really listening with your ears, but also maybe your eyes. So the innovation that we found is quite simply through Zoom. I would say that's the main one. We have a lot of other things we use. I'll throw another one out there for everyone listening. We have a marketing automation system, yes, like most people do, but I've implemented Mixmax in my Gmail, which we use for business. And Mixmax is free for the base model, and it is fabulous. So now I can see who opens my regular emails. I can see how many times they open them. I can set different rules. I can make very basic campaigns that you don't need to hire a marketing guru to set up for you, which can cost a lot of money. And so Mixmax would be the second technology I would tell you to really look into, those listening. and even for your personal email for that matter, especially when it comes to the schools, right? You're sending a message out, you're not getting a response. Did the principal read my email? Let me see, So you can use that to say, hey, I know you saw my email. Although you don't really want to tell too many people that you have that kind of power. You might want to keep that to yourself. So the innovation, that's I would say from my perspective for our company and our offerings, what we've been able to implement. And you had a couple other questions that I'm trying to remember.
No, I think this is great, Jeannine, what you shared with us. It's so incredibly powerful for our audience. And most importantly, I think the message that I am getting from this entire conversation is that they talk about superpower, superwomen, and you're definitely demonstrating and exemplary individual for that. That's, that can give the message to our audience, young women that might be looking to start their own business, who aspire to be an entrepreneur, who aspire to be in STEM, that there is everything's possible. There is nothing that is not possible, even during the pandemic, or even during the crisis, or the time period where you think that it is tough, and having raising kids, work-life balance, being a teacher, all of this can be managed as long as you are leveraging the power of technology and resources that's around you.
Yes. Well, for me, I'll just speak to that for a second. My choice to be an entrepreneur came many, many, many years ago, a couple decades now, sorry to say. But now in the pandemic, the fact that I can manage my own time, that I can put my foot on the gas pedal or release it from the gas pedal in the business so that I can focus on teaching these 4 kids because no one else is. My husband and I are their teachers. And I say that it might be a little hyperbole because they do go to school, but they're totally remote. And these are small children that are not going to motivate themselves to do schoolwork for 2 to 3 hours a day. It's just, that's just not what they do. It's not what a 5-year-old does, a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old. My 10-year-old, she's pretty good. But the others really need our help, and they need our encouragement, and they need us to be calm, to be happy, not to feel stress. When there's an issue with logging into a Zoom meeting for the school, I'm going to shut that off and I'm going to read with them, because I'm not going to allow that to infiltrate my psyche, my mood, right? Because it affects everybody. So what I love about being an entrepreneur now is that I can let my foot off the gas a little bit with VMSA and teach these kids. But truthfully, the way it really works most days is I wake up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I work for 2 hours, where everyone is pretty much sleeping, and I'm like, like a little computer monkey, and my computer. I'm surprised I don't wake up from the banging on the keys. I've been told that I'm a bit heavy-handed when I'm typing, so I'm surprised they're still sleeping. And then I get the free meals from the school for my family. I go for a run. I come back. I feed the kids. And then it's like, okay, let's do schoolwork for a couple hours and then back to VMSA. So I probably put in more than a full day, but it's definitely not 9 to 5. And which is the beauty, as you all know, of being an entrepreneur, is you can adjust your time. So I'm so grateful that I have the ability to do that.
So Jeannine, this is a perfect example of a very unique innovator entrepreneur, where you have really leveraged the technology. Yes, Zoom existing technology, but in any business during this time, the cost factor is and always in when it comes to buying, cost is a key factor. So the real innovation I see that how you identify some of the existing technology and how you leverage that technology. But the most important innovation is how you started delivering and tweaking your core expertise of consulting and training using a different model, because what you have been doing is delivering all this in person, and how you pivoted yourself and your business model, the delivery mechanism, that is really admirable. That is, I would really admire how quickly you have changed and started establishing and proving yourself and other and the industry that there is another alternate way. And that's what we are always talking, that this pandemic, this crisis has given us kind of a force us to try different things, and in your case try multiple different things, including
Yes.
taking care of the family and these amazing kids and your business. So we really I admire your that doesn't mean I don't admire Hetal is also working really hard, because I have to keep that balance, because I have to still live with her, and I'm going to, after the show, I'm going to have the conversation, so I have to take care of her. Hetal, you have any thought,
Yes, yes.
any
Our
other
great comedian
questions?
here, right? We have to have that humor in our life as well. And just to add to that, Nish, I think you've brought up a really good point. In my experience, what I have observed during this time period, that few of the things that what I've heard from Jeannine is a few key things are listening, learning, and those are some of the things that's been really critical. Staffing industry generally is the first to experience in the economy what is rising in the market, or what's going down in the market as a decline, and how do we continue to stay engaged? How do we continue to stay informed? And how do we stay connected? I think this what we have experienced as a supplier, as part of a Club VMSA member as well, has been incredibly powerful. Our team members, who has been across the nation, we support clients across the globe. I still remember back in April and May, it was always very difficult. How do you have those conversations with your clients and your customers, and how do you even begin those conversations, because we all know what they might be going through, but at the same time, how do we continue to remain relevant? And I think the platform that was designed and developed quickly, rapidly by Club VMSA really did help us to stay interactively connected, and that was very powerful. And the training that Jeannine and the team actually put out, I think it was really, really commendable, Jeannine, that I would say, cost effective pricing model that you put out, that I'm pretty sure you must have experienced as staffing companies who would have felt that couldn't have budget, but were able to still join because it was affordable. And so during these time periods, communities come together, we all come together, we are all exercising that empathy, not just at work, but at home.
So, yeah, so Jeannine, tell us, how was that experience when we tweaked that model? What was the response? Now we heard Hetal's response. What are the other things came to you and you learned from that?
What do you mean, when the pandemic hit?
Yeah, and you started evolving and changing
Yeah,
your model.
changing, pivoting.
How was the
Okay.
response from your?
Well, here there's one thing I really want to say that I probably don't realize is a wonderful benefit of me and what I do, is I'm not afraid to make mistakes. So I thought, when this started, I thought, let's just keep doing stuff. Let's get as many events on the books as possible. And every single event we tried to have one a month, in addition to the daily chats. And every time we did it, we learned something about how we can do it better, right? The first time we did it wasn't perfect. Of course not. You can't take an in-person event, translate it online one for one. It's very different. Time gets compressed really tight. So you've got to be rehearsed, you've got to move. We learned a lot. So I would say I like that about us, that we're not afraid to make mistakes. We're absolutely the first one to call our sponsors and say, how did that go for you? And when they give me constructive feedback, I'll be the first one to go, I agree, or I'll just listen and take it, which is hard. It's hard to do that, but it's important. And so reaching out to them, they were very grateful. Thank you for asking me, for listening, and then putting it into the next one. will implement almost 100% of the suggestions for improvement because they're reasonable. They're reasonable. So I really like that collaboration of real, honest communication and feedback. I love that. Even
and constant improvement.
Continuous improvement every single time. So what's an annual event is now, 3 or 4 times a year, because I don't want to just have it one time. That was the other thing too, is we always say that it's much better to touch your prospect, your partners more frequently with a shorter burst of time than it is just one big burst a year, let's say. So the more you can have like a 2, 5-minute, 10-minute interaction with them, every other week, isn't that great? And so that's what we keep trying to do, is putting ourselves in the shoes of our club members, both buy side and supply side, to say, let's keep communicating. And we want to be the enabler. We want to make the platform. I also didn't mention this other wonderful technology. I can't believe I forgot it. It's a one-on-one private video meetings technology that we bought a couple months back. And so now at the end of our events in Zoom, you're able to have these short 12-minute meetings with partners, clients, prospects, and it's so cool. You just sit there like we are right now, pops up the video, who that person is, you get a countdown when that 12 minutes is over, the next one comes up, and it's obviously set up ahead of time. So that's nice, because now you have 3 types of interactions in our events. You have this keynote presentation where you can ask questions. That's a short 25 minutes. You have 2 breakouts, which are the small groups. And you have now one-on-one meetings. So it's almost like going to a real conference, but it's safe. You can wear your pajamas on the bottom. And then you can have your
Just remember, you don't get up.
No, don't stand up.
So, Jeannine, this is so beautiful. What I heard that there's, during this whole pandemic and crisis, right? Everybody's running fast. Everybody 9 to 5, and the way your model work is, you take a small time out from that crazy schedule, and as you are going and experiencing through those challenges, you learn a little bit here and there, and you can. When you are routine, like regular, when there is without any pandemic or crisis, during normal time, you can go out and a couple of days on the event, that will work absolutely fine. But this is like, having, that's more like a antibiotic and a small dose every few hours, and continue growing. So it's a beautiful model. We have few minutes left, so I would like to ask Hetal, if it's okay with you, I would really ask her for a personal story, something impactful, inspirational. I know the whole story is inspirational, but something specific you would like to share with us before we close?
For me or for Hetal?
Yeah, for you.
Okay, something inspirational. Something besides everything I've said. Something inspirational.
Tell us some fun facts about you, Jeannine, that you may not know about.
My fun facts. Well, I'm pretty much an open book. Like you two, I work with my husband in BMSA. And so we really love the fact that we can work together in this way. I think we've worked together now 5 years since our youngest was born. And so, it's like, I was just thinking yesterday how I'm in charge of bringing in the revenue and he's in charge of the expense portion. So it's like, we are literally a P&L, like I'm the income part and he's the expense part. And not to say that he spends money, but he manages all of that for the business, but also for our personal finances. And so it's like really interesting to me. It was like an aha moment. I was like, oh, look at that. So simple.
You just changed.
I love working with him, and we're always joking around that, when can we get these kids on the payroll? Like, you're not seriousness. When is it okay for children to work? I mean, my oldest is 11. I think she's almost ready. right? Social media, they can be posting.
So Jenny, I have done that. When I was working on a technology to teach children with autism, my concept was, or our concept was, how do we leverage kids' imagination, kids helping kids learn. So we got all my daughters, she was at what, 8 or 9, her voice for this teaching tool to teach children with autism. So there are always ways to figure out, get the free labor.
Did she get paid on the books?
No, no. See, that's considered volunteering, right? It's helping somebody.
Internship.
So no compensation. But Jeannine, thank you so much for your time. Hetal, last words you want to share before we close? We are already.
Thank you so much. This was really exciting, and we greatly appreciate all your wisdom and all the knowledge that you've shared with us today.
Thank you, Hetal.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Jeannine.
Zule.
Thank you, Hetal. Thank you, Zule. Thank you, everyone, for your time. We will continue talk about the innovation and employment and empathy in our next segment. But thank you, everyone. Stay safe and have a wonderful remaining of the week. Take care.
Bye-bye.